Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar, Optimizing Mac and Mobile Compliance. Thanks for joining us, and as everyone is still getting signed in, we'll just go over a few housekeeping items. Please think of questions throughout the webinar and direct them to the Q&A section. We'll be answering them throughout and at the end. This webinar will be recorded and we will share the recording with you shortly after the webinar is finished. If we don't get to all of your questions, we'll follow up with you afterwards. Reaching out to info@jamf.com will also get you in contact with someone at Jamf quickly. My name is Aaron Webb and I work in product marketing here at Jamf, focusing on security. I'm delighted to be here today to share this session with you as we dive into optimizing Mac and mobile compliance. The focus of this session is to cover the types of compliance, how to achieve them, and leave you with some tips to optimize in your organization. Before we dive into the content of the session, let me give you an overview of what we'll be covering today. For those that might be new to Jamf, or those that already know Jamf around management solutions, we will kick off with a quick overview of Jamf and how we have both management and security solutions before moving on to an overview for the types of security compliance and their importance. We'll then take a look at compliance best practices, including device management and endpoint protection, unique considerations for ensuring compliance for Mac and mobile devices in regulated environments, and finally, examples of compliance mandates and tools available to help meet them. I'll deliver a brief recap before opening it up to Q&A. Before we begin, I want to give you a brief overview of who we are and what we do here at Jamf. Our purpose is to simplify work. And we do this by creating enterprise secure solutions that are consumer simple and protect the privacy of your users. More than 71,000 organizations rely on Jamf to manage over 30 million devices. Our stats as of January 23 show that some of the industries we support in the enterprise space, although we also help many schools, colleges, universities, hospitals, healthcare providers, and of course small to medium businesses across the globe succeed with Apple. So how do we do this? We provide solutions that manage and secure Apple at work, whether that's a school, bank, hospital, hotel, or a company of a handful of workers or a large organization spanning the globe. And we are the only company in the world that provides complete management and security for an Apple first environment. Our ability to manage, secure, and extend the Apple experience with deep integrations with Microsoft, Google, Okta, and AWS, as well as many more companies to deliver a complete experience in the workplace, wherever that may be. And we have a long history of delivering same-day support so you can ensure you can support your users the day Apple releases new features and security updates so you can continue to be productive and secure in your work. And our customers think highly of the products, services, and support we continue to provide since we started over 20 years ago. So that's a brief overview of Jamf. Now let's get going and look at an overview of compliance. First, let's define the meaning of compliance by answering this question. What does compliance mean? Simply put, compliance means adhering to laws, industry standards, and data and security requirements. Organizations must set a compliance management strategy largely dependent on their industry, their device, and the data and use cases and requirements as a legal entity. That's why each organization should design its own compliance strategy and implement systems and process to ensure that your workforce is able to adhere to them to protect others and the business. Compliance is a very broad term, so before we dive into the data security elements, let's take a quick overview and review of the elements of compliance that organizations must adhere to. Organizations will typically be required to have and be able to present a compliance plan for legal regulations such as anti-discrimination, anti-slavery, and anti-corruption laws, industry standards such as quality standards or privacy standards, security such as keeping physical locations safe, ensuring quality control over devices and maintaining data privacy, and organization-determined rules and responsibilities such as environmental impact or conduct requirements for vendors. Let's dive deeper into security compliance. The best way to understand the data security space is to look at what happens when compliance is not met and organization is exploited. This can result in data breaches and leakages, monetary loss through fines or settlements, loss of customers, accounts or jobs, and even loss of reputation. Besides the monetary fines and sanctions, what are the benefits of following security compliance in an organization? First, it's about protecting your company's reputation. Security compliance measures ensure that your company is taking the necessary steps to protect sensitive information such as customer data from unauthorized access or theft. This can help build trust with your customers and stakeholders and protect your company's reputation. Mitigating security risks. Compliance frameworks often provide guidelines for identifying and mitigating security risks. By implementing these measures, you can reduce the likelihood of a security breach, which can result in costly downtime, data loss, and damage to your brand. Enhancing customer confidence. When customers know that your company is compliant with security regulations, they are more likely to trust your brand and feel confident in doing business with you. This can result in increased customer loyalty and repeat business. Improving operational efficiency. Security compliance often involves implementing processes and procedures that can improve your company's operational efficiency. For example, complying with industry-specific security standards may require you to implement better data management processes, which can help streamline your operations and improve productivity. And finally, staying ahead of the competition. Compliance with security regulations can give your company a competitive edge over other businesses in your industry. By demonstrating your commitment to security, you can differentiate yourself from competition and attract new customers who prioritize security and privacy. There are 3 popular frameworks that organizations use that can meet certain security and regulatory standards. While all 3 frameworks aim to improve an organization's security posture, they differ in their approach and focus. The first one is the Center for Internet Security, CIS, and the CIS controls are a set of guidelines designed to help organizations secure their networks and systems. They focus on practical, actionable steps that organizations can take to mitigate cyber threats. The CIS controls are prioritized, meaning that they provide a roadmap for organizations to improve their security posture based on the most pressing risks. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, is a cybersecurity framework and is a comprehensive guide to managing cybersecurity risk. The framework is based on 5 core functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. The NIST framework emphasizes the importance of risk assessment and management, as well as continuous monitoring and improvement. And finally, the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and the 27001 is a standard for information security management systems. It provides a systematic approach to managing sensitive company information so that it remains secure. And the ISO 27001 standard covers a wide range of security controls, including physical security, access control, and incident management. In summary, CIS provides a practical, prioritized approach to security networks and systems, while the NIST cybersecurity framework focuses on the risk management and continuous improvement. ISO 27001, on the other hand, is a comprehensive standard for managing information security. Organizations may choose one or may adopt one or many of these frameworks depending on their specific goals and needs. On top of these, many regulated industries also require to implement a security benchmark. For example, a healthcare organization may be subject to requirements under HIPAA, or a retail e-commerce company may have systems subject to PCI. because they process credit card transactions. Schools, colleges, and education establishments need to apply protections for ensuring privacy of the student education records under the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. Depending on the industry, there are many regulations to navigate. So why do we implement baselines and benchmarks? Even if an organization is not required to adhere to entirely to a specific standard, they may find that some of the standardized settings will help them keep the organization data safe, and the application of continuous benchmark reporting ensures that the configuration mistakes don't fall through the cracks. But one size does not fit all, and implementing every part of a published standard is often not required or appropriate. Instead, IT and information security departments need to collaborate to consider the risks of most concern to their organization, and they need to determine the best controls to mitigate those risks and implement them with careful thought, striking a balance between information security and end user productivity. Now, the different devices within an organization may also be placed into different risk categories. For example, a device in the HR department may have a 5-minute screensaver timeout, while the Mac that continuously plays a slideshow in the sales department waiting room will have no screensaver at all. So with the compliance and benchmarks established, let's take a look at best practices for optimizing compliance on macOS and mobile devices. A security baseline is a group of controls that organizations agree to configure on their devices. Now, once these are in place, they need to continuously verify that the controls remain in place and that the devices remain compliant. This compliance scoring system is the security benchmark. For example, an organization may wish to establish the following control set: that all Macs must be encrypted with file vault, or that all Macs must turn on the screensaver no more than 5 minutes after the last user interaction, and then authenticate will be required in order to wake from the screensaver. Or it might be that all Macs must disable Bluetooth sharing. Now that sounds simple enough, but also sounds like a lot of work. Now, especially if you have a large number of devices or users that wish to make changes, or a workforce that's spread all over the world. Now, this is where tools can help you implement the benchmarks so the organization's IT administrator configures settings as part of their automated enrollment workflow, and they can add configuration profiles to enforce settings that are required. Now, and to eliminate any user interference or where that profiles are not available, they can use compliance scripts to ensure that features such as Bluetooth sharing is indeed disabled. To help ensure compliance is continually monitored, there are extension attributes to provide insight quickly to ensure that those devices are compliant. All this is possible with an MDM, a mobile device management solution like Jamf Pro, purposely built to support Apple at work. An MDM uses the inbuilt Apple management frameworks in iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and tvOS to manage features and settings for each platform. The framework ensures that MDM users can implement important management features consistently and securely. Now, they can implement device management, configure devices and users, and maintain communication with managed devices. Now, whether you're an enterprise organization, a school, or a hospital, MDM allows you to manage and enforce security policies, control access to company data, and remotely wipe devices in case of theft or loss. But you should ensure that you select the most comprehensive solution for your Apple devices. Ensure that you select an MDM partner that is known for same-day support, because when that software update drops, you need to know that the tools that you have can support the updates to ensure your devices are compliant. Which brings me on nicely to software updates. It's best practice to ensure that you keep devices on device operating systems up to date. When that's not possible, you need to be able to have visibility into those devices and implement policies to defer or force updates depending on the situation. Whatever your route, it's about making sure you have visibility over your compliance. Now, regular updating the operating systems, apps, and software on all devices can ensure you have the latest security patches and bug fixes. MDM allows you to set up automatic updates on macOS and mobile devices to make this process easier. Now, implementing encryption is also another critical security measure for protecting sensitive data on both Mac and mobile devices. Now, making sure you enable full disk encryption on all devices and require strong passwords and biometric authentication. You can use FireVault to encrypt the information on your Mac, and FireVault encodes the data on your startup disk so that unauthorized users can't access your information. Now, make sure you have strong password or passcodes depending on the device, which are regularly set to change, for example, every 30 days, and make use of biometrics to harden your security devices. Another best practice is to train users on security best practice. Now, even with the best security measures in place, human error can still pose a risk to compliance. It's important to train employees on security best practices, such as avoiding suspicious links and attachments, not sharing passwords, and reporting any security incidents immediately. Now, you can use security awareness training programs or resources such as the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST Cyber Framework, to help educate users. Now, according to the 2021 Data Breach Investigations report by Verizon, 85% of data breaches were due to the human element, which shows the importance of training the workforce. Now, we've spoken about the importance of mobile device management, MDM, but today endpoint security solutions are crucial tools for enforcing compliance policies on Mac and mobile devices. Now, MDM and endpoint security go hand in hand, and these technologies help organizations ensure that their employees' devices are secure, up to date, and in compliance with relevant regulations. MDM solutions provide a centralized way to manage and secure all devices connected to an organization's network, including macOS and mobile devices. These solutions allow IT admins to remotely configure and manage devices, enforce security policies, and deploy software updates. For example, an MDM solution can enforce policies such as requiring users to have a passcode, encrypting data, and disabling certain features that could be a security risk. Additionally, MDM solutions can provide visibility into device usage, allowing administrators to monitor compliance with policies and detect potential security issues. Now, Endpoint Security solution adds an additional layer of protection to macOS and mobile devices. These solutions are used to advanced threat detection and prevention techniques to safeguard devices against malware, phishing attacks, and cyber threats. For example, endpoint and block access. Endpoint security solutions can use machine learning algorithms to identify and block malicious activity, monitor device behavior and anomalies, and block access to known malicious websites. Some solutions can even provide real-time data alerts and automated responses actions to help IT teams quickly respond to security incidents. Together, MDM and endpoint security solutions provide comprehensive protection for macOS and mobile devices, ensuring that organizations can enforce compliance policies and keep their data and networks secure. By using these technologies, organizations can reduce the risk of data breaches, minimize downtime due to security incidents, and maintain compliance with relevant regulations. When it comes to mobile devices, you also need to think about the ownership model. Now, you may know how your corporate-owned devices are compliant, but what about those devices owned by your employees? Well, it's about the right solution for the right time. And there's two ways to enroll personally owned devices. And with Jamf BYOD, for example, there's the account-driven user enrollment and profile-driven user enrollment. Account-driven user enrollment is a new workflow leveraging Apple's framework to provide an improved experience by asking the end user to do something they've done many times, which is to go into the Settings app on their device and sign into an account. Now, profile-driven user enrollment is the traditional method where IT sends the user a URL for enrollment into management. And both of these methods have identical outcomes, but different workflows, but help you ensure that your Mac and mobile devices are compliant. Now, establishing secure device baseline configurations is also a key factor when you're ensuring that you've got best practice for maintaining compliance. Now, this can be allowing authorized applications to run on a device. For example, you may not want to allow the use of TikTok on a device. on your work device, but that can be configured with MDM. But you may also want to ensure that you have a layered approach with a mobile threat defense solution to calculate device risk score. Now, this can include things like jailbroken devices. This can be established across your entire mobile fleet and be specific to device types. So if you have Android in your organization, they can be configured with risk scores differently to your iOS devices. Depending on the industry, you may have deskless workers or remote workers. For example, your traders, are they using their personal devices for trading? How do you ensure that they use the correct applications, and do you have an audit trail? Now, not only can you use these tools to create device risk scores, but you can ensure that only protected users and user privacy and company data is protected. You can block cyber attacks like phishing, malicious domains, risky apps, data leaks, and insecure networks, all of which not only ensure that your devices are compliant, but keep the end user aware and informed of how to remediate the device and take action. So if they're trying to access a corporate or a resource on their personal device, it will block them, knowing that they have to then go and use a corporate device rather than their personal device to access that application. There is also category-based content filtering, the ability to enforce acceptable use policies, and even data capping to prevent overage and bill shock. So you can make sure that you've got compliance in place and also safeguard measures to ensure you're compliant, but actually you're calculating monetary risks as well, especially as more people are using mobile devices and potentially traveling abroad. So what are the unique considerations that you have to navigate, not only with Mac and mobile in the workplace, but also the regulated industries? Now, other organizations may not need the highest security possible, but they still want to achieve a custom level of security they can track and enforce. So let's take a look at some of the tools to help. Let's start off with the Mac OS Security Compliance Project, which aims to ensure that Apple's operating system Mac OS is secure and compliant with various security standards and regulations. Now, this project involves several key components, including security controls, configurations, and monitoring. Now, the Security Compliance Project involves implementing various security controls to protect against different types of threats. Now, these controls may include firewalls, antivirus software, intrusion detection, and prevention systems, and access controls. Now, each control is designed to address a specific security risk and reduce the likelihood of a security incident occurring. Configurations refer to the settings and options that are configured within the macOS operating system. The macOS Security Compliance Project involves configuring these settings to ensure that the system is secure and compliant with industry standards and regulations. This may include configuring passwords, encryption, network settings, and other security-related options. Monitoring is a critical component of the macOS Security Compliance Project. It involves a continuous monitoring of the system for security events such as an attempted attack or unauthorized access. Now, monitoring may involve the use of a SIEM, a Security Information and Event Management System, log analyst tools, and other monitoring technologies. Overall, the key components of the macOS Security Compliance Project are designed to ensure that the operating system is secure and compliant with various security standards and regulations. By implementing security controls, configuring settings, and monitoring the system, organizations can reduce the likelihood of security incidents and ensure that they are meeting their security obligations. Now, the Mac OS Security Compliance Project is an open source effort to provide a pragmatic approach to generating security guidelines, and it's a joint effort involving a number of security organizations. Apple acknowledges the Mac OS Security Compliance Project with information on their security certifications and compliance center page. And this brings me on nicely to the Jamf Compliance Editor app, which was built specifically to help make this process easier. Now, the Jamf Compliance Editor is a tool that provides Mac OS system administrators with an easy way to establish and manage compliance baselines on their fleet of Mac OS devices. Now, this tool is built on the foundations of the Mac OS Security Project to help easily select benchmarks and baselines for customization. It helps support all variations of benchmarks and baselines currently offered by the Mac OS Security Compliance Project, and there is support for multiple major Mac OS versions. Now, modifications of organization defined values, or ODVs, from the core compliance project specifications, and there's also ability for local storage of your custom benchmarks for editing later. There's an easy to use UI that eliminates the need for complicated scripting, and there's one-click guidance creation that includes PDF, Excel, and HTML, as well as ad hoc for audit review with the option to even add branding. There's shell scripts that can audit and remediate endpoints, and all configuration profiles that are needed to be uploaded to the MDM server. And there's also the ability for Jamf Pro extension attributes that will submit statuses of benchmarks and baselines for the Mac OS endpoints. So let's move on and take a look at some of the examples of compliance, especially as many will be implementing Mac and mobile into organization with other devices and services. This is the first question that you may face when Mac and mobile are being adopted into a workplace, or you're looking to make sure that all devices are compliant. Now, what if you have Mac and mobile devices and are using Microsoft? How can you ensure your mixed fleet is compliant? Maybe you are a Google shop making use of Google apps for productivity, or using Google Beyond Corp to provide user and device-based authentication and authorization for Google's core infrastructure and resources. You may use Okta to manage and secure user authentication and into applications, or have Amazon Web Services for your cloud infrastructure. Now, each of these companies and services they offer work on and with Mac and mobile, and Jamf is uniquely positioned to help organizations succeed with Apple. Our strategic partnerships with each of these organizations mean we have a wealth of integrations to help you achieve compliance and more. So let's take a look at how Jamf and Microsoft partnership provides an automated compliance management solution for Mac and mobile accessing applications with Azure AD authentication. This collaboration leverages conditional access to ensure only trusted users from compliant devices using approved apps can access company data. First, we have that the device is managed by Jamf, so implementing the best practice we discussed earlier with MDM. The device is registered with Intune, or Endpoint Manager, and creates a device record with Azure. Jamf then evaluates the compliance status and informs Azure where it will either allow or deny access to the company resource. And should a device not be compliant with Azure and it blocks access, Jamf provides a user-friendly remediation experience to help get the device back to the compliance level to access the company resource. Now, this is just one of 12 integrations Jamf has with Microsoft. The ability to integrate Jamf Pro with Microsoft Intune for comprehensive device compliant workflows to only grant compliant devices access to company resources. Now, telemetry and security information and event management integration, so a telemetry and a SIEM, are critical for optimizing compliance because they provide a comprehensive and centralized view of an organization's security posture. Telemetry refers to the collection and analysis of data from a variety of sources, such as servers, network devices, and applications. A SIEM, on the other hand, is a tool that collects and analyzes security-related events from multiple sources, including telemetry data. By integrating telemetry and SIEM, organizations can effectively monitor and detect security threats, breaches, and compliance violations. This integration allows for real-time analysis and correlation of events and logs from various sources, providing a holistic view of the security landscape. The system can identify patterns and anomalies that may indicate a security breach, enabling quick response and remediation. Now, telemetry and SIEM integration can aid in compliance with various regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, and PCI DSS. These regulations require organizations to maintain and monitor logs and events to ensure compliance with specific standards. By integrating telemetry and SIEM, organizations can automate compliance monitoring and reporting, reduce the risk of non-compliance, and potentially fines or penalties. For example, Jamf Protect has telemetry log data which sends device activity feeds to a security information and event management solution and security teams via the Jamf Protect agent. Now, this helps Jamf Protect administrators and information security specialists proactively monitor and detect threats on macOS computers in their environment. Now, with the action configuration, you can collect telemetry logs using two methods. Configure one or more telemetry collection endpoints to send data directly to a SIEM, or enable the forward telemetry data to a third-party solution to checkbox and forward to a third party of your choice. Now, with exception sets, you can even add the ignore for telemetry rule to exclude certain processes or events from telemetry data. And this ensures that the telemetry log volume in your environment is limited to only an acceptable range. But what if your security team uses a Microsoft solution for their SIEM? Well, Jamf Protect is listed on the Azure Marketplace and is a game changer for Apple security, as it provides complete Apple endpoint security insights from the Jamf Protect into Microsoft Sentinel. The Jamf Protect for Microsoft Sentinel solution creates a detailed event data from macOS endpoints into a Microsoft Sentinel workspace in a simple and easy workflow. The solution provides visibility into Apple endpoint security by leveraging workbooks and analytic rules containing alert and unified login events captured by Jamf Protect and the macOS built-in security events that occur across the protected organizational endpoints. So if you want to know more about the Jamf Protect for Microsoft Sentinel, grab your devices now, quickly scan this. I'll leave this up for a few seconds. That will take you directly to the Azure Marketplace listing for Jamf Protect for Microsoft Sentinel. So if you haven't got Jamf Protect and you want to reach out to us, please do so afterwards. If you are using Jamf Protect and you're a Microsoft Sentinel user as well, check out this integration and go and start configuring that now. Now, fortunately, many compliance standards are fairly prescriptive in providing guidance to organizations. But how can you ensure complete compliance that organizations of all sizes can implement for faster onboarding, application-specific policy enforcement, and a simple, streamlined experience that is consistent for employees, contractors, and third parties alike? Now, let's take a look at how Jamf helps you approach this. The conversation often starts with a discussion of trade-offs. On one hand, users want simplicity and privacy. On the other hand, organizations need to achieve security and compliance. The discussion might sound something like, we need to secure these devices to be compliant, and unfortunately, the user experience may be impacted. Now, there's a dirty little secret that despite all of the security that you have in place on corporate-owned devices, employees can often just choose to do their work on their personal devices where things are more simple and their privacy is respected. I'm highlighting the tension between serving your users' needs and achieving your security or compliance objectives. Many people believe there must be a trade-off. At Jamf, we do not believe that this trade-off is required, but we do believe it requires an honest assessment of the challenges facing the modern workplace. Now, Jamf specializes in helping organizations manage and secure Apple at work, and nobody does it better or more comprehensively. I'd like to show you exactly how we bring together management and security to create an approach we call Trusted Access. Trusted Access combines and connects the best elements of device management, identity and access workflows, as well as endpoint security. All things we've already spoken about in this session today. With Trusted Access, your employees can be productive on the devices they love while ensuring that your organization trusts every user, every device, and every connection made to work resources. Let's briefly explore each of the 6 elements of Trusted Access, starting with enrolled devices. Enrolled devices are a critical foundation for achieving Trusted Access. We must have visibility into every device being used for work. Apple Business Manager enables 2 unique enrollment workflows that every organization should embrace. For corporate-owned devices, automated enrollment ensures that every device enrolls automatically the first time it's turned on. IT has full control over the endpoints for the entire life cycle of the device. For BYOD devices, account-driven user enrollment allows employees to initiate privacy-protecting BYOD enrollment on their personal devices. With user enrollment, IT maintains control over all company data on these devices without having any visibility or control over personal information like messages, photos, or apps. In either case, enrollment is built into all Apple devices, which eliminates risks associated with insecure enrollment, URLs, and invitations. Verifying each user's identity is another critical element of trusted access. Jamf integrates with every major cloud identity provider to provision local accounts with the user's cloud identity, creating a streamlined onboarding experience. Jamf also ensures that each user's password stays in sync with their cloud identity, minimizing IT tickets and employee downtime. Having the user's cloud identity bound to their device is important because you're able to utilize your existing cloud identity investment to map access and rights management all the way down to the user's local account. We also want to ensure that every endpoint is being used for work is protected. Jamf makes it easy to audit security device benchmarks to ensure that a trusted user on an enrolled device isn't out of compliance with your required security settings. Additionally, Jamf consistently monitors endpoints for threats to automatically block and quarantine malware, keeping your endpoints protected and your data safe. The modern threat landscape is vast, and risks span far beyond insecure configurations or malware. Jamf provides device-wide protection against phishing, malicious domains, ransomware, and other web-based threats that pose risk in your organization's data and compromising user privacy. We also provide simple security awareness notifications through the Jamf Trust app to help your users learn how to work smarter and safer. As I mentioned earlier, users are working from anywhere and from any kind of device. Jamf offers zero trust access to work resources with continuous security monitoring, which adjusts access in real time if a risk on the device is identified. It works with any ownership model to provide a seamless experience that is always on and never in the way, establishing secure connections regardless of where the users are working. In an ideal world, nothing would go wrong. But when reality hits, it's important to have a robust set of automation and remediation options available when it's time to respond to a security incident. Perhaps you need to suspend a user's access, update an operating system, or update a vulnerable app. Maybe it's important to notify the end user. The task will vary depending on the nature of the issue, but the important thing is to understand that Jamf offers a robust device management foundation that allows organizations to resolve any number of different issues with powerful automation tools. So that's a quick overview of trusted access. Why many organizations may have some of these individual solutions today, I hope this shows you why we believe it's crucial that all of these solutions be built to work together to secure the workplace from the threats we have identified, not only today, but in the future as well. So if you'd like to learn more, please check out jamf.com. So let's recap on what we've covered today. After covering Jamf with a quick overview, we looked at the types of security compliance and their importance. This was followed by a compliance best practice, including the device management and endpoint protection. We covered unique considerations for ensuring compliance of Mac and mobiles in regulated environments, and finally finished up with examples of compliance mandates and tools available to help meet them, including an overview of Jamf's trusted access journey. Finally, I'd like to leave you with some additional resources. And depending on where you're located in the world, Jamf has specific resources to help you meet regulations and standards, including Essential 8 for those of you located in Australia. And the QR code that's on the screen now is to help you quickly navigate to the resource with your device. So if you're looking for Essential 8 and some guidance around that and how Jamf can help, use this QR code, scan it now, and you can access that resource quickly. Now, for those of you in the UK, we've got the Cyber Essentials from the National Cyber Security Centre in the UK, and here's the link that you can be able to get to that quite quickly. There's additional resources on jamf.com and learn.jamf. So check out those URLs, check out that QR code to get to these resources. Plenty of resources there for you, including some ebooks on compliance management as well. Of course, we're nothing without our customers, and that's proven with the Jamf Nation community. Now, this online forum is the home to over 100,000 Apple-focused IT individuals that learn from each other, discuss best practices, and have access to a wealth of resources and third-party tools. You can create your free account today and join in on the discussion. There's loads of people there that would happily help you from the community, sharing scripts, advice on how they become compliant. So if you're not a member already, then do head over to the Jamf Nation and get up for a free account now. Then we have our marketplace full of tools and resources to help make Jamf platform more useful to our customers with integrations with companies like Red Canary, Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, and many, many more. You saw today a brief overview of how we integrate with Microsoft. That's on our marketplace, but also Okta, Google, AWS, all these other third parties as well. Go and check them out. They're all providing integrations between their solutions and Jamf to make your work both simple and secure. And to wrap up, we are pleased to present our next episode of the Jamf Security Lounge on Friday, the 24th of March. So if you're listening to this live, it's this week. If you're catching a recording, then please be sure to check out our recording of the Jamf Security Lounge on our Jamf Security Lounge webpage. Now, the link is on the screen now for both registrations and to watch the previous recordings. So in this session, we're going to continue the compliance conversation theme as I'm joined by experts in employee education on compliance from Cyberpilot. So don't miss out this valuable session and make sure you register today or catch the on-demand recording. That's going to be on Friday, the 24th of March with Cyberpilot talking about educating the workforce in the defense of cybersecurity. That's it for this session. I hope you found this insightful and learned some useful information that can help you with your compliance for both Mac OS and mobile devices in your organization.